Okay. I'm going to workspace. Um, hey, I guess I am go live. There's a avoid Easter egg. Right. And life celebrations. Cross posts art group to promote. Okay, go live. Hello, everybody. So nice to see you today. It's Monday. It's April the 12th, 21. Kind of rhymes, 12/21. Anyway, I don't usually do the topic like this, but I recently became an executor not by intention, but I did. So I just thought I would share some tips. When you create a business plan, you always work with the end in mind and create a business plan. So maybe we should take a look at that, like our lives, like how do we want to be celebrated? And if we want to work from that end and come back to the current time, it's a good time to take a look at how are you going to do it? So I know it's pretty scary. We look at our lives at the end of our lives and we're just kind of celebrating, but yet at the same time, none of us really want to think that we're going to die or we're going to end, our lives are going to end. Um, it can happen at any time. So I just decided that I would give a little talk from my perspective, my own experiences. It's called Avoid the Easter Egg Hunt. So when I took over this um, little job, I just thought it was a little job, but it's a big job. I had asked Marshall Charles is the guy's name, and I had asked him, okay, we haven't talked about this, we haven't talked about that. And he said, don't worry about it, Mari-Lyn, it's going to be an Easter egg hunt. And I can tell you, even though it's a very simple will and an executor to do what I need to do, but at the same time, I know nothing. So other than he was a friend, somebody just stayed in touch with. And then one day he just said, hey, Mari-Lyn, can you come over and help me? I need some help with some financial help. I need you to run the bank. I need you to go do this and do that. So that was fine. So, reason why I say I know nothing, now when I talk to people, I ask them, do you have a will? Do you have a business succession plan? If you don't, and people will say, well, I have a few notes written. And I said, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. I mean, if your number is up tomorrow, who's going to be looking after all this stuff for you? And so let's make it easier. So I would suggest the first thing you need to do is write down everything. It's kind of a neat process. Even though I have a will, it's probably could be updated. So as I'm going through this experience, I'm able to now look at, okay, what do I need to do for myself? So what I'm going to encourage you all to do is start writing down things. Write down your passwords, to your accounts, where you're going to find them, what you're going to do, um, and all that stuff. You know, when you write a business plan, your marketing plan is the who, what, when, where, and why. Well, it's the same thing for your a marketing plan for your execution, your end of life. And you can't have a celebration until all these other details are looked after. So it's just yeah, so it's just been an Easter egg hunt, just like you said it would be. So people are finding me saying, oh, I understand you're looking after so and so, and I'm like, yeah, so who are you? You know, and I think the biggest challenge is that you know, if you can and you have people in mind that or have agreed to be your executor, make sure you add them to your accounts, even if they're not going to ever use them. Like at a bank, you can go and ask them for them to be your beneficiaries of this account. It'll be so much easier to transition over the monies that are left, because you have to establish a bank account for the estate. So you can still continue to pay bills and everything. I can't do any of that. You know, the banks are so overwhelmed with the COVID and everything that they keep telling me 10 days, and then 10 days comes and they say, well, maybe another 10 days. And it's hard because, you know, people want to get paid, but I can't do anything about it. So, and I'm certainly not going to be paying them out of my bank account. So, anyway, and you shouldn't, and probably against the law if you did that anyway. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is, really start writing everything down. And as you're writing things down, you got the passwords. I understand we change our passwords frequently, but just get something in writing, and maybe have a couple of people lined up. If I couldn't do it, then I would pass it on to somebody else. But the second person was not interested in doing what I was going to do. So what I would suggest is start writing things down. And even if you have a password for all that stuff, write it all down. Have a list of friends, a call list, maybe 5 friends. You should have it anyway, is for if there's an emergency, or if there's an earthquake happening, or there's a storm going on, that you can call 5 to 10 friends and say, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need help? Same thing. So please be sure of that. You know, I went to Amazon books. I saw these books and I thought, oh, great, they're going to help me, you know, figure out what I'm doing next. Well, not really, but I kept them anyway, because I don't know if you can see them. One says, I'm dead, now what? And the other one is the same thing, only it's in a hardcover. And but it doesn't really help me what the next step is, but it'll help you in planning. So it tells you who your contact team is, like if you have an executor planned out yet, do you have an attorney, an accountant, and a tax preparer. And if you have a business account, you need a bookkeeper or some way of keeping books so that you can hand in over all that information to the accountant, because at the end of your life, you also have to have end of life and close down all your businesses. If you don't have a succession plan, that's what's going to happen. All your businesses are going to be closed down if you don't have a successor. So, and then who's your insurance agent? Who's your healthcare provider? And we're having this discussion over at a dinner table the other night about, well, I'm the executor of this person, but they didn't understand that when you don't want to be resuscitated in your death, when you die, you just want to go. When the ambulance come and get you, they're going to resuscitate you. So unless you have this pink piece of paper that says do not resuscitate in your little pause on your fridge or wherever it is, they will still come in, try to get you breathing again. So make sure you have all your healthcare provider information. Even though Marshall worked with a hospice team, for example, um, and I there was no information like, hey, what's going to happen, what's going to go on. And so they called me and said, hey, Mari-Lyn, when are you coming over? Later on this afternoon, maybe tomorrow? No, no, he's not going to last that long. You got to come over right now because he chose to die at home, which is fine. But he didn't make any, like again, didn't make any plans for this. And the hospice people do not do the end of life stuff. So you might want to consider if you want a death doula there for you or somebody that'll assist you in transitioning. So I was there till he took his last breath and helped him transition. I find that an honor to do. I know for some people, they're just scared to death that they would ever do that for somebody, even their family members. And not everybody can do it. I get it. But, there's those type of things you really have to think about. So make sure you have all your health information available in a book like this or in a spreadsheet just to help people when they're going to take over, they know what to do. I did find the hospice book later as I was cleaning up his place. And I thought, wow, if I had this, I'd be better prepared to know what's next. So please, when you work with your health professionals, make sure you have all the information in a binder or a folder or something. And your doctor, some people, like a lot of people don't want to die in the hospital because that means right now you have to be by yourself, right? And so there's those considerations. And if you have a clergy person, another thing, another East egg hunt, William, one of his friends, came over and said, Mari-Lyn, have you thought about calling a priest or something to give last rites? And I'm like, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody Marshall has. I have nothing. I know nothing. So I was very fortunate. I was very appreciative of William able to call his minister, and she came over and did a prayer, and we sang some songs, and you could actually feel the energy in that room, just like, so yeah, if you have a minister you like, and maybe you've spoken to them about, giving, doing a service for you, whether you choose to celebrate or not, but you should still have that. And then any other notes regarding that, contact information, where's the family, who's in charge, back to the friend and family list, that type of thing. I'm just following along the book because there's some things that I can, as I think about in the book, I went, oh yeah, mention this. So if you have somebody that's been in the military, like Marshall was, I had to find out who I can contact because they do provide some money for burial services and things like that. So they might have some, if you have a spouse of a vet, then you're able to get some military benefits out of that. So you want to make sure that you know a lot about this information and who's going to get them. Oh, one thing, if you get your, I learned this, but when you're doing the burial thing or I had to call the nurse that came in and did the final rites and the timing and everything. So because I arranged to have cremation and services, I just put my name as a friend. Here's a tip. Put your name as a cousin. They're not going to take a blood test to find out if you're a cousin or not, because one of the requirements that they asked for is that you had to be a blood relative to sign off on the paperwork. If you're somebody, you have no family around, nobody, I said to them, what happens if they don't have a family friend or a family member or anything? Oh, well, they go to the city and they could sit there for 6 months and they figure out how it's going to, if they can find some family member to sign off on the death. So I was very fortunate. I was able to find a cousin and asked him if he could sign off the paperwork for me. But so my tip on that is just tell people you're a cousin. Don't say you're a friend or an executor, because you have to be a blood relative to sign off the paperwork for cremation or death, or however you want to do that. So just to tell, don't tell anybody I said you that, but that was that delayed the death for another 10 days. So anyway, to get your, and the death certificates, in state of California right now, it takes 4 weeks, 1 month. So because of that delay, it became 6 weeks. So it's just harder because you want to get I want to get the closing done and get everything done while I have the time, because it's very time consuming, but it's rewarding in itself. So yeah, you want to have all your medical information. You want to know where your passports are. You want to know where all the ID is, all the credit cards are. You want to do all that stuff and the banking and everything. Yeah, so all your financial information, like I said, if you get one of these books, I don't, can't see it, but if you get one of these books, it'll walk you through it. I'm dead, now what? So somebody else can fill it out, or definitely you should fill it out, is a better idea. And then bank accounts information, you have a safety deposit box. If you have life insurance, you have a stock account. You need to know all this information to help somebody assist you. Your, like I said, the credit cards, and if there's any employer benefits, if that person worked for somebody, what benefits do they have? What can they collect? You have your social security. That's one thing. If you're collecting social security, they just do the automatic deposits, right? But once the bank's been notified that that person is deceased, if any money has been deposited, say money was deposited in March and they deceased in February and the banks didn't get notified till March, Social Security will take out that money that they got. The banks will send it back. So make sure that you don't spend it, because it's going to be gone. And retirement, like I said, any other benefits like a vet from the work or whatever. Yeah, personal property, first thing you got to do is make a list of all the personal property, estimate how much it's worth, and you cannot sell it, give it away, or anything. So if you have to vacate a place, it's probably a good idea to put in a storage locker or something. Unless it's been already willed out to somebody and the will's been read. But even at that, it's now all the property of the estate. It is no longer the property of that person. So the person becomes an estate. So vehicles, all that stuff, information you need to know if they have a storage unit, where they find it, if they have a firearm or a gun, where's it stored. There's any hidden valuables like a safe deposit box, like I said, or maybe somewhere else. So you have all these things, and then it tells you what to close, what to cancel. And in my case, because I'm not a relative, it just seems to take a little longer, or somebody that's, and what's interesting, the government is easier to deal with this than private sector. For example, there are some business accounts, there's 3 of them left, that refuse to work with me. Even though I'm the executor, I can show them the death certificate, I can show them the will, I can show them whatever the paperwork they want, but they refuse to close the account. But he's dead and the company's closed. So you have to make sure that, like I said, is, most of these companies, I don't know if they're big or not, but whatever. And what you really need to do, well, one of them is really big, but they keep double billing too. So that's the other thing, is that you have to make sure maybe you have somebody on that account, that name on the account. They may not use that account, but if their name is on the account, then they can close that off or exit it. And of course, you're only going to need the death certificates to do a lot of your work. So until you get the death certificates, there's not really much you can do, but you can still reach out to people. You can still say, hey, this person's dead, or can we close this account? What do you need from me to do that? So I would really just kind of encourage you to write everything down, because it really helps the person who's going to be left holding the bag, if you will, or somebody that's going to be dealing with all your information, whether it's financial or living situations or whoever. And it's a lot of work. And I'm not going to discourage you for not being an executor, because it is very rewarding in some aspects. It's a piece of puzzle. And when you get the pieces all together and they're all fixed, then you can say, yes, I'm done. But there's still things ongoing. And make sure you have a good accountant that will be willing to do the end of life closeout, not just for the businesses, but for the person's life. You have to have that done as well anyway. So I don't do my own taxes, so I'm not going to be doing anybody else's taxes, let me tell you. So I just hand it over to somebody or a company that can do it for me, because I'm certainly not going to be doing it. What else I can tell you? Yeah, just really make a list of stuff that, as you write down and things, oh yeah, I need to do this. And yeah, and you also have to post the obituary that this person died. You have to put it in the paper or put it somewhere that, or pay for advertising to pronounce it that this person has passed. So that if there was any people out there that are unaware, they are now aware, hopefully anyway. I've had people reach out to me, well, we're calling blah, blah, blah. And I said, and so how'd you find me? And they says, oh, well, it's posted that he's died. And yeah, my name is on it. So it's people will be reaching out to you, and you might think you know the person really well, but then you get to learn lots of different things that you didn't know. So I just really encourage you to take your time, fill out the paperwork that you need to get your will done. And of course, when you get the will done, I mean, there's lots of different ways. I've watched lots of YouTube videos about what I should consider, and what things I haven't done yet, what I should do yet. But then also, like, some people will say, don't do a living trust, because a living trust is really just about your creating a document just for yourself, and you don't want your family involved in all that stuff. So just, I also encourage you to watch some videos on YouTube about different issues that you may have considered, or you've done, and you may be rethinking them, because there's a lot of great information, other lawyers who are giving the great information about that. Yeah, and like I said, if you decide that you want to pass at home, make your transition, I would really encourage you to reach out and get a death doula team or end of transition team to come work with you. They're the ones that arrange for all the final stuff, if you haven't done that. And they're the only ones that'll be there, like your family and friends, of course, will be there, but they're the ones that'll come in and just kind of chill it out, get everybody to chill down. So I would encourage you to do that as well. What else can I tell you? Yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them on the base of the video here, and I'll try to answer you or maybe forward you some information about it. There's not really, oh yeah, if you have, because this is a simple situation. In other words, his value is less than 166,000, and that's the state in California. It doesn't need to go to probate. But if you have anything over than that, or real estate, it does have to go to probate. So I'm not sure what happens when it goes to probate. I haven't been there yet, but I would certainly, you look at your state. If you go to your government, state, and look under death or whatever. That's where I pulled the will off of, actually. Um, so we get it signed and notarized. And it was, so anyway, I encourage you to do that too. Some people say it doesn't need to be notarized, but if you're doing signatures and you need two witnesses to sign off on it as well. So it's always better to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, right? So that's one thing I would say for sure. Um, I don't know if I've just said, keep a trail. Uh, I have two sheets. One of all the list of the people that I knew of, or I found a list of passwords and say, okay, follow up on them and see what's true now, what isn't. And then I have another page that says I've moved people from here to this. So this is a completed and this is a live. But the other way you could do it is keep it in a spreadsheet too. It's just listed in a spreadsheet so that you have all their names, their contact, and all the information. If you don't want to get a book, books were, that not expensive really. They were only about $15 each. Like I said, I bought them because I thought that they would help me in my Easter egg hunt, but not so much. And then you have your social media accounts too. So you want to make sure they're written down and, you can always change the password. And I will learn from, because we had a little different situation on the business side, make sure that, you try to keep the email address as long as possible. We've had a few situations where, because I don't have access to the email address that he used, and there were several, but I have no access to the email. So sometimes accounts will say, when you go in there, change your password and all the other information, you need the email address. And if you don't have access to it, or you don't have access to the phone, because they like to send you a text to give you a code so you can do this and do that. So make sure that you have all that information as well. Very key. So yeah. And, you might be dealing with employees or contractors. Um, you may have to give them, a notice. Obviously, you have to give them notices that maybe they're no longer working, or maybe if you have a succession plan, then that plan will carry over when that person passes. So that's why it's really key and really important, I think, to have all that stuff together. And if you haven't done your will or haven't looked at it, look at it as a living document. So you're always updating it. Um, for example, my parents made their will up. I mean, we are just little kids, and they did the will and they never revisited it. And so, of course, when, it came to, when my father passed, of course, everything went to my mother. But even at that, there's things that didn't get passed or didn't passed on, or things that didn't come to be that was supposed to be. So, or we, they would say this, or, I even had a girlfriend that totally unexpected for her to pass, but she said she was just going to up her will. And she had an appointment actually with a lawyer it was sometime in October or something. And she didn't make it. So here it is. It's an old will from when she was married and her husband's passed. And so now they have to take the information from that will, that which was probably about 20 years old. So, family dynamics change, families change, businesses change. So I really encourage you to just keep updating the information. Okay. I don't know what else I can say right now, but I did really want to mention this, and it's been kind of wearing on my heart to say something, because nobody's ever told me anything. But if I could save you some time and um, anger or frustration, I hope that this will help you. And I don't want to keep repeating myself, so I'm going to end the call now. But if you have any questions, please just leave them below the video, or you know how to reach out to me, or you can call me. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you all are having a fabulous week. It's a busy week for many of us, and I um, I hope you enjoy your week. And in end, be kind to each other because that's all we have. So thank you so much. Okay, bye.